Do I look cool?
Yep.
Do I look cool? Wait.
No, that's cool.
Okay. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off.
And cut. Perfect. Thank you so much, Raeann. That's a great first stab at this. So, show of hands. Who feels really comfortable with everything that just happened here on stage? You sure?
Sure.
Okay. So, welcome to Simplifying Your Shakespeare. Our goal for today is we're going to take some scenes that are going to be hopefully well known to you guys. We're going to explain them a little bit. And then we're going to try and give you some tips and tricks as to how you can go through as an audience member and make sense of what you're seeing here on stage. And the first scene that we're going to start with is actually the one that Raeann was just doing for us here. Who knows Romeo and Juliet? Cool. Who knows the balcony scene? Oh, come on in. Okay, so, oh, Romeo, what's right there, Romeo, right? Okay, this is our Romeo, right? Okay, so
I'm a cool guy.
So you keep saying.
I'm a cool guy.
So what we're going to do, we're going to begin from the beginning of the scene. And we're going to go through and we're going to stop and see if we can find some places where we can maybe help find some context to the scene and make things make a little bit more sense as we start. So, Raeann, could I have you take it from the top, please?
Sure.
Great.
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun.
Okay, so stop.
Uh-huh.
So, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks? What light are we talking about?
The light from her glorious bedroom.
Okay, so her bedroom, which is?
Up there.
Okay, so if you can see the light coming from your bedroom, that means it is probably?
Dark.
Dark, right, because it is nighttime, which means we don't need our sunglasses. Phenomenal. As much as I hate to take apart Raeann's cool guy Romeo mystique, Shakespeare is a big fan. Now, you still have the hat. Don't worry, I don't think I'm taking the hat.
It's cool.
Shakespeare is a big fan of using lines that characters say to help you figure out setting information. So, in this situation, Shakespeare's already given us a couple clues. Shakespeare has gone through and said, what light through yonder window breaks? And as Raeann rightfully said, up into the sky, right? Which means, by necessity, that Romeo is down below the balcony, right? So in the garden. Also, what light through yonder window breaks? It means that it is probably nighttime, because if he's able to see the light coming from Juliet's room, probably not broad day. So that's pretty good. So why don't we go ahead and pick up from where we left off?
All right. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off.
Well, actually, sorry, hold on, pause.
Yes.
This is actually one where I feel like I could have helped set this up a little bit better. Romeo and Juliet, what do we know about Romeo and Juliet? Teenagers, right? And they belong to different families, right? And the different families are mortal enemies. So, does it make sense that Romeo is here in the middle of the night below Juliet's balcony window, basically screaming lines of poetry into the night sky? Something's wrong about our setup, right? So knowing what we know about the scene so far, that the Montagues and the Capulets are bitter enemies, is Romeo going to be standing in the middle of the garden screaming about his love to Juliet? Probably not. So this not only informs what we as the audience know about Romeo, but also about what Romeo is doing right now. Romeo's probably hiding in what's a very ill-advised idea, to be hiding in a teenager's garden in the middle of it. No, that's fair. Okay, yeah. I'll be your movable pillar. Sure. But in this situation, we also know that Romeo is in some bit of danger, in that he is doing a thing where if he is discovered, he will at the very least suffer some pretty dire consequences. Something to keep in mind as the scene goes on. So let's go ahead and go from Cast It Off.
Cast it off.
Okay. perfect.
Okay, cool. Cast it off. Katie, it is my lady. Oh, it is my love.
So, this is another instance where Shakespeare is using the lines of the characters in order to give us an idea of what's happening. In this case, we're informing stage directions. If you look at Shakespeare's original plays, there were no stage directions. Where if you guys look at my script here, where we've got a parentheses and it says like Juliet appears at the window, yeah, none of that existed. So how did Shakespeare tell people what to do without knowing where those things were? It's baked into the language that our characters are using. So if Romeo says, "It is my lady, oh, it is my love," that means that Juliet has appeared. Excellent. Let's back up so we can give our Juliet, our lovely Juliet, a chance to make her entrance one more time. And I have one more question. Because normally I'm not in this scene with Romeo, right? So who's Romeo talking to?
My innermost thoughts and
Your
feelings.
innermost thoughts and feelings, which you've decided to voice out loud.
Because they're too big.
In a very dangerous situation.
Yep.
In a place where if someone hears you and discovers you, you're in deep trouble, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm doing great.
Romeo could be talking to himself, but there is another option, one that we, as very respectful theater goers, have been conditioned not to take advantage of. And that answer might surprise you guys a little bit. So who else could Romeo be talking to?
The audience.
Exactly, the audience. So in Shakespeare's time, it was perfectly common for someone to come on stage and begin their monologues talking to the audience, because we are treated as a character in the show, just like everybody else in the show is. It makes the monologues in Shakespeare make a lot more sense when Hamlet comes out and says, "To be or not to be," and he's not talking to the thin air. He's asking someone specifically, "Hey, you, to be or not to be?" And sometimes the audience responds. And even something as subtle as a person considering my question is enough to give the actor something to go on. So let us go back and go from cast it off, and we shall have our lovely entrance for Juliet once more.
Cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that?
I'm going to pause this here, and I'm not going to take us back, but note that how Juliet started to speak, but then no sound escaped her lips. So again, an impulse for Romeo to continue saying the things that he's going to say. Keep going.
Her eye discourses. I will answer it. Oof, I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks, to the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business to entreat her eye, to twinkle in their spheres till they return.
So I'm going to pause here again, because again, a number of lines that are absolutely laden with stage direction for our actors, which Katie is doing so lovely over here. She says, "She speaks yet she says nothing. What of that?" And we got our lovely sigh. Her eye discourses. What does that mean? Her eye's searching. Her eye is looking for something as she looks out over the garden. And Romeo says, "I will answer it," and then immediately says,
Nope, never mind.
yep, because he remembers his circumstances. Those very important circumstances we picked up earlier, right? Where he's in mortal danger. If he answers to Juliet, "Oh, hey, guess what? I'm here in your garden," who knows how she's going to react? Because, as we remembered earlier, these are teenagers. And as much as we know that they are going to fall in love over the course of this play and come to a tragic end, they are also, it's a 14-year-old girl in her nightgown in the middle of the night, and some guy's just going to start talking to her.
Don't do that.
This is where it's important to remember the real human circumstances of these things and why Romeo might suddenly say, "I'm going to talk." No, I'm not. It's a bad idea. So it also gives us an idea of what Romeo is, who he is at the core of his character. He's an impulsive guy who sometimes figures it out and sometimes he doesn't. So
No, he's a cool guy.
he is.
He's a cool guy.
So we have twinkled in their sphere until they return. Raeann, would you please give us the "To the Fair Stars and All the Heaven," please?
All right, I have to go back, sorry.
Okay.
Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business to entreat her eyes, to twinkle in their spheres till they return. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Me.
She speaks. Oh, speak again. Bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head.
You're hiding.
I am hiding.
Right, hide better.
Oh, sorry. As glorious to this night, being o'er my head, as is a winged messenger of
Your
heaven.
voice isn't hiding.
I'm sorry. I'm overcome with emotion.
I'm going to pause you there. This is an unplanned pause, but what a glorious thing to have just heard. Raeann, can you tell me what you told me on Thursday when we read the scene for the first time?
No, because I don't remember.
You told me I don't fully get it. Like, I don't get why the balcony scene is so, like, such a big deal, right? And now here we are reading it for the second time. Not necessarily acting it. We are acting it. You're doing a great job. But reading it, and Raeann is overcome with emotion just saying the words. Sorry, I had like an actor nerd moment where I was like, ah, you did it! But no, I wanted to stop and say that, like, that's how powerful this language can become if you just take the time to see what the clues he wrote you in the lines. Sorry, please, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, where am I starting again?
Go from, she speaks.
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being over my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven, unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air.
So, let's pause there for just 1 second, because this is again another Romeo character building moment. What did Romeo just get done saying here? Yeah, right? Exactly. And this time it's actually kind of intentional. Sometimes Shakespeare is a little dense because it's a little dense. It's a little bit older and it's in poetry. Sometimes Shakespeare's dense because he means to be. And in this situation, he's telling us something about Romeo's character. Romeo literally just said, she speaks, speak again, bright angel, and then follows it up with 10 lines of like the most teenagery kind of poetry. I saw it, exactly. That reaction that you have right there is exactly what he's trying to get. That eye roll moment of just like, oh God, get to it, guy. So, we know that Romeo's kind of a blowhard, right? Let's see what that tells us about Juliet, who's about to have her first lines.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
So let's pause. First off, because this is one that people sometimes have a question about. Wherefore? What does wherefore mean, Katie?
Why?
Why? A lot of times people see wherefore, they think where. Where are you, Romeo? Now let's go back and consider our setting. It is currently middle of the night, and Romeo is hiding, and Juliet is
In her bedroom.
in her bedroom up. So we have 4 things that are working against us for her to say, where is Romeo? Has she probably even heard him yet at this point? No. So that is our context clue to say it's not where is Romeo, why are you Romeo? And in 4 lines, Juliet basically says, get rid of your name, I'll marry you, we'll be together forever. He literally took like 6 minutes of stage time just to get to that point of like, oh my God, there she is and I love her. And Juliet's done it in 4 lines. Please, let's continue. Will you give Raeann, if thou wilt not be but sworn my love?
If thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's a Montague? Is it nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man?
Pause. Who thinks Shakespeare is high class? Thank God. I was really worried one person was going to be like, well, yeah, we study him, and he's like Dickens, where Dickens wrote only high literature. No, Shakespeare loved like fart and sex jokes. So it is probably intentional when Juliet says, nor any other part belonging to a man. So just let that kind of inform the rest of our program for this evening as you hear some of these things. Don't be afraid to laugh at what is a very juvenile joke. So go ahead, keep going.
Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose, by any other word would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word.
Whoa, pause. Okay, so actually, let's keep going. Go ahead and let's go down to the end of Juliet's next line. And then pause.
Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
What man art that thus bescreeched in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
Okay, so pause. This is, a lot of times in scenes, there are turning points or explosion points in the scene, right? So a lot of things have happened here all at once. You'll see very helpfully in my script that Romeo has gotten the stage direction allowed. And what changed in Raeann's behavior when we got that allowed?
Stop hiding.
She was startled.
Yeah, started. Yeah, because the very next line that Juliet has is, "What man art thou? Who is this that is hiding in the night, that has heard me talking in my nightgown on my balcony outside of my bedroom," right? So in order for Juliet to have that startled moment, Romeo has to do something. And in this situation, Romeo,
Ta-da!
kind of like Raeann said earlier, overcome with emotion, can now no longer restrain himself and is going to reveal that he is there. To hell with the consequences. So let's go back and how about we startle Juliet one more time? And I would love, my darling, I know you have that Southern belle in you. If I could have just one, really play it up for the cheap seats. Because in Shakespeare's time, they were all cheap seats.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
What man art thou that thus discreet in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
Pause. I finally caught you. So we had one rehearsal before this, and Katie, as you see, has taken a lot of the stage direction on, where I get to kind of tell you guys what's happening, but then we're not getting those fun pause moments like I get to have with Raeann. I finally get one for Katie. So, does Romeo know where Juliet is? Yes, she is in the light. Everybody can see her. She's on a balcony, literally spotlighted in the play, right? Does Juliet know where Romeo is?
No.
No. So why are you talking to Romeo?
I was looking out at the night.
Exactly. You can talk to them. You can talk to them. But you have no clue who this creeper is in your garden, so don't talk to him yet. Okay. Let's go back once more, and I want that dramatic.
I'll pause for it.
Yeah, do it.
I take thee at thy word.
Perfect.
Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
Don't get off your balcony.
What man art thou that thus bescreened in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 word of that tongue's uttering, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither! Oh,
No, you're doing. No, yeah, it's perfect. Pause. Does she know where he is yet? Can she see him?
No, she can hear where she's coming.
Exactly what I was getting ready to say. She can hear him, and she knows because she can hear his voice. Only met him once this evening, but she knows that's Romeo. Keep going.
neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore?
Wherefore again?
The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art. If any of my kinsmen find thee here,
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me.
if they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they see thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes, and but thou love me, let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued, wanting of thy love.
Pause. One more vocabulary check. Prorogate. Does anybody know what that one means? Does it sound like anything that we are familiar with?
Prerogative.
Prerogative, sort of. Doesn't really fit our context though. Prorogued. Prolonged, maybe? My life would be better ended by their hate than death, prolonged, wanting of thy love. proof that Romeo may take 1,000 words to say a simple thing, but sometimes he throws spaghetti against the wall and it sticks. So, how do we feel about this balcony scene now? A little bit easier to understand what's going on? I'm now going to let my actors have the service they should have had in the first place, and I'm going to have Raeann take it from the top.
Oh gosh.
I'm going to step to the side, and I may occasionally remind you of things, but let's see how this scene has changed now that we've added context to it. Hey, what's the first thing you had to do to get into the scene? You just said it, and we didn't practice this one. I'm sorry, but I just remembered it.
I have to climb the wall.
Yeah, you're perched on the wall.
Okay. All right. Let's listen here.
Please don't hurt yourself.
Okay,
Perfect.
I'm here. I made it. Now let me hide. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it.
What was
Cast it
that
off.
noise?
It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, and yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
I mean,
She speaks! Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven, unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air.
I thought I heard something.
oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father, and refuse thy name, or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's a Montague? Is it nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man? Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose, by any other word would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo doth thy name, and for that name, which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
What art man? What man art thou that thus be screeched in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to thee, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 word of that tongue's uttering, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
How camest thou hither, tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high, and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do, that dares love attempt. Therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they see thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes, and but thou love me, let them find me here. My death were better ended by their hate than death prorogued, wanting of thy love.
And a scene. Yes.
Well, first of all, the first question I have is at the very beginning. When there's a light breaking through, they obviously did not have electricity.
True.
So, and then he said, I think the east.
Yes.
So he's looking up to the sunrise.
Yes.
So that's the light, so it's dawn.
It's the middle of the night, and he's pretending Juliet is as beautiful as the sun.
Well, what
So
light-
it may not
he's-
necessarily, it's
he's
not
imagining that she's the light coming.
exactly. So if the light is already pouring through the window, Juliet then emerges, and then there's the sun.
But,
Candle.
so it's dark.
Yes.
The second one is, so when light breaks through, it's not a candlelight, it's not the lantern, it's and my second question is, she hears nothing of that. So all that he has just said, she does not know he's down there.
She's inside and does not know he's there until he reveals himself.
Right,
Correct.
so all that we heard is for the, as you said, for the audience,
Exactly.
but she is not her, so she comes out musing about Romeo out of the time they did meet together at the dance, but she doesn't know he's down there.
Exactly. It's that literal thing of teenagers met somebody and they can't keep them off their minds.
Okay.
Yeah. We do have a couple other scenes for you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a little bit of Macbeth. Whoa! I'm required to say Macbeth. Whoa! Because if you say Macbeth within a theater, then terrible things are supposed to happen. Whoa!
This isn't a theater.
Yeah, fortunately, this is a library, right? So we're fine. So Macbeth, one of the people are a little less familiar with. Let's talk about it. Everybody knows the three witches: double, double, toil and trouble, fire and burn, cauldron. Right. Okay. What those witches actually end up telling the people of our scene that we're going to see here is that Macbeth, title character of the play, is going to become king. They also tell Banquo, who Raeann is going to be for this particular scene, that he will not be king, but his line will be king.
That's better.
And it's also a problem for Macbeth, because if Macbeth is king and then his family becomes king, something bad happens to Macbeth, which sets off a whole deal of revenge and murder and the tragedy of the play unfolds. But we are actually going to, just before that, we're going to be introducing Banquo and Banquo's son, Fleance, who is a soldier in training. And we are going to show the first meeting between Macbeth and Banquo after they have heard the predictions that have been made to them. So, we'll give you a chair. Banquo, I'm not going to pause you on this one. You start on screen, on stage.
Banquo does or Banquo?
Sorry, Fleance does. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sitting.
Leon's my son, yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, go get him.
How goes the night, boy?
The moon is down. I have not heard the clock.
And she goes down at 12.
I take it 'tis later, sir.
Hold, take my sword. There's husbandry in heaven, their candles are all out. Take thee that too. Heavy summons lies like lead upon me, and yet I would not sleep. Merciful powers restrain me in the cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose. Oh, give me my sword. Who's there?
All right, so we're going to pause, we're going to stop and go back. So, we're doing a lot of the same kind of scene setting that we did for Romeo and Juliet. How goes the night, boy? The moon is down, and I have not heard the clock. So we don't know what time it is, but it's late enough that you can't see the moon. And then this also gives you a little bit of idea as to Banquo's character, because he not only says, yeah, you're right, the moon's gone, but there's also no stars, which is what he says when the candles are all out in the sky. So he's taking this moment almost as like a teaching moment for his son to say, hey, yeah, the moon's gone, but that's because it's cloudy. So it kind of gives you this idea that Banquo cares not only about his kid and teaching him, but teaching him in the right way. And at the very end of where we stopped, Banquo says,
Give me my sword. Who's there?
and why do we say, give me my sword, who's there?
Noise?
Because there's a noise, and because he can't see the person, right? And he can't see the person because it is dark, exactly. So another situation where Shakespeare is going to use the sound of someone's voice to let them be identified. So, are you ready?
Mhm.
Okay. Will you go from, give me my sword, who's there?
Oh, okay.
Also, just because you're unsheathing your sword, will you go to the other side of the song? I don't want to get stuck.
Give me my sword. Who's there?
A friend.
What, sir? Not yet at rest? The king's abed. Ye have been in unusual pleasure, and set forth great largesse to your offices. This diamond he greets your wife withal, by the name of most kind hostess. and shut up in measureless content.
Well, being unprepared, our will became the servant to defect, which else should free have wrought.
All's well. I dreamt last night of the three weird sisters. To you, they have showed some truth.
I think not of them.
Yet,
Yet, when we can entreat an hour to serve, we would spend it in some words upon that business. If you would grant the time.
At your kindest leisure.
If you shall cleave to my consent, when 'tis it shall make honor for you.
So I lose none in seeking to augment it, but still keep my bosom franchised and allegiance clear. I shall be counseled.
Propose the while.
Thanks, sir. The like to you. Complaint.
Go with that, mistress. When my drink is ready, she strike upon the bell. Get thee to bed. So we're going to pause there. If you find yourself in the position where you are reading Shakespeare rather than seeing it on stage, there are things that I will bring the script around so you guys can have a chance to kind of see them. But Shakespeare does write with intention when it comes to blanks. You'll see here that for the most part, when we're saying our lines, they go out to a measured place and then they stop. But specifically with the line that we have here where I sing, I think not of that. And then there is, I'm even going to bring it up to the camera so you guys can see it. Ta-da! There you go. There is a world of blank space. And Shakespeare did not do that because it's a printing error. That was very expensive to print in Shakespeare's time. That is actually a spot where he is saying that something is happening on stage that is causing a shift in thinking. And that gives us a clue as the actors to say, I don't think of those. Or rather I do, and I don't want to say it around these people. So then we have a conference out to the side. And that helps bring understanding for the audience. Does that make sense to everybody? Sort of. That's fair. And the reason I mention that is because this is another spot where that's getting ready to happen. As we've kind of talked about before, a lot of characters come out and they have monologues where they address the audience directly. And typically, if you are getting a monologue from a character, it is because they are at a moment of pivotal character development. They are at the choice that is going to drive the rest of the show. With Romeo and Juliet, it was literally Romeo saying, I have snuck into Juliet's house because I cannot stop thinking about her. And then Juliet did exactly the same. And then their intentions linked up, and it's no longer a monologue. It's now a scene of the two of them together going through and saying, this is going to be us twined together forever until we die. And Macbeth's getting ready to do the same thing here. He has the choice to either say, I am going to wait for the king to die a natural death, and then I will be king, or because the king is staying at my place, I can make it happen a little faster. So there is a break here in the script, which would indicate that there is some sort of pause or shift. In this situation, we know it is the dead of night. We have sent our servant away. We're the only person still on stage. Probably likely that if it's late at night, Macbeth drifts off for a little bit. And then begins our next monologue. Is this a dagger I see before me? The handle toward my hand? Come. Let me clutch it. I have thee not, yet I see thee still. Art thou not, fatal vision, sensible to feeling as well as sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind? A false creation proceeding from the most heat oppressing brain. I see thee yet, in form as palpable as this which I now draw. Thou marshallest me the way that I was going. Such an instrument I was to use. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest. I see thee still, and on my blade in dudgeon gouts of blood. which was not so before. There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. Now o'er the 1/2 world, nature seems dead, and wicked dreams abuse the curtained sleep. And a bell rings. I go. And it is done. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell. But in theory, it is a spot where Macbeth is making that fatal decision of, is he going to kill the king, commit regicide, or is he going to let fate take its course? And by being impatient and being driven on by his wife, Lady Macbeth, he then sets a tragedy in motion. But this is all kind of a downer, right? Like, nobody wants to go to Shakespeare and see somebody talk about murder. Why don't we do something more fun? Did everybody know that Shakespeare was a master of insults? Yeah, Shakespeare's got a lot of great insults, right? Which is why we bring to you our next scene. Who here is familiar with Taming of the Shrew? Oh, well, I got a hand. I got a couple hands. Okay, great. For those people who may not know Taming of the Shrew, who's familiar with the movie 10 Things I Hate About You? Hopefully a few more hands, right? Shakespeare's stories are so good that they have been adapted in a lot of different works. We kind of wanted to illustrate that to you guys. Katie, could you, for me? Wonderful. We could show you just a few of them here. But it might take us a little bit of time to go through and read all the different adaptations, so we thought maybe you might just trust us when we say things like The Lion King is Hamlet, 10 Things I Hate About You is Taming of the Shrew, and Romeo and Juliet is, believe it or not, Romeo and Juliet. Wow! But for this particular scene, in Taming of the Shrew, if you have not seen either the play nor the movie, we are going to have our lovable wooer, Petruchio, who has come to marry, who is a person who is said to be the most disagreeable person in all of Italy. And to show you that Shakespeare is a master of insults, and to make sure you guys don't miss any of them, I today am going to be your Shakespeare insult interpreter. And I'm going to make sure you guys don't miss a single joke.
Just pull my shot forward.
I'm Catherine.
Yeah, this is Katerina, who you'll be introduced to shortly.
All right. I pray you do. I will attend her here and woo her with some spirit when she comes. Say that she rail. Why, then I'll tell her plain she sings as sweet as a nightingale. Say that she frown. I'll say she looks as clear as morning roses newly washed with dew. Say she be mute, and I will not speak a word, and then I'll commend her volubility and say she uttereth piercing eloquence. If she do bid me peck, I'll give her thanks as though she bid me to stay with her a week. If she deny to wed, I'll crave the day when I shall ask the bands when we be married. But here she comes, and now, Petruchio, speak. Good morrow, Kate, for that's your name, I hear.
Well, have you heard, but something hard of hearing.
You deaf jerk.
They call me Catherine that do talk with me.
You lie in faith, for you are called Plain Kate,
Ugly Kate.
and Bonny Kate,
Angry Kate.
and sometimes Kate the Cursed.
So Kate, you do not want to run into in the dark.
But Kate, the prettiest Kate in Christendom, Kate of Kate Hall, my super dainty Kate. For dainties are all Kates, and therefore, Kate. Take of this, take of me, Kate, of my consolation. Hearing thy mildness praised in every town, thy virtues spoke of, and thy beauty sounded, yet not so deeply as to thee belongs myself am moved to woo thee for my wife.
This was his best pickup line.
Moved in good time. Let him that moved you hither remove you hence. I knew you at the first. You were immovable.
A piece of furniture.
What's a movable?
A joined stool.
A toilet.
Oh, that's has hit it. Come sit on me.
Asses are made to bear, and so are you.
You jerk.
Women are made to bear, and so are you.
It's a
No
That's
such
another-
jade as you, if me you mean.
Alas, good Kate, I will not burden thee, for knowing thee to be but young and light.
He's calling her old.
Too light for such a swain as you to catch, and yet as heavy as when my weight should be.
No, you're just slow.
Should buzz.
It's a really lame joke.
Well taken, and like a buzzard.
You look like a vulture.
Oh, slow-winged turtle, shall a buzzard take thee?
I'm gonna sleep with you.
Egg for a turtle, as he takes a buzzard.
No, you're not.
Come, you wasp, in faith, you are too angry.
What did I do?
If I be waspish, best beware my sting.
My remedy is then to pluck it out.
I, if the fool could find where it lies.
Who knows not where a wasp wear his sting? In his tongue.
In his tongue.
Whose tongue?
Yours if you talk of tails, and so farewell.
What, with my tongue in your tail?
Whoa!
Nay, come again. Good Kate, I am a gentleman.
That I'll try.
Oh, I swear I'll cuff you if you strike again.
So you may lose your arms. If you strike me, you're no gentleman. And if no gentleman, then no arms.
Can't hit me.
A herald, Kate? Oh, put me in thy books.
What is your crest? A coxcomb?
What are you, a chicken?
A coneless cock, so Kate will be my hen.
It's another mating joke.
No cock of mine. You crow too like a craven.
You coward.
Nay, come, Kate, come. You must not look so sour.
It is my fashion when I see a crab.
Why, here's no crab, and therefore look not sour.
There is.
Then show it me.
Had I a glass, I would.
What, you mean my face?
Well aimed of such a young one.
Now, by St. George, I am too young for you.
Yet you are withered.
'Tis with care.
Care not.
Nay, hear you, Kate, in sooth you scape not so.
I chief you if you tarry. Let me go.
No, not a whit. I find you're passing gentle. 'Twas told me you were rough and coy and sullen, and now I find report a very liar. For thou art pleasant and gamesome, passing courteous, but slow in speech, yet sweet as springtime flowers. Thou canst not frown, thou canst not askance, nor bite the lip as angry wenches will, nor hast thou pleasure to be cross in talk, but thou with mildness ainst thy wooers with gentle conference, soft and affable.
You guys may recognize the tone of sarcasm.
Where did you learn this goodly speech?
It is extempore from my mother wit.
A witty mother, witless else her son.
Am I not wise?
Yes, keep you warm.
Marry, so I mean, sweet Katharina, in thy bed.
It's another joke about going to do mating things.
And therefore, setting all this chat aside, thus in plain terms, your father has consented. That you shall be my wife, your dowry agreed on, and will you, nill you, I will marry you. Now, Kate, I am a husband for your turn, for by this light whereby I see thy beauty that doth make me like thee well, thou must be married to no man but me, for I am he, am born to tame you, Kate, and bring you from a wild Kate to a Kate conformable as other household Kates. Here comes your father. Never make denial. I must and will have Catherine
to be my wife.
Yep. So, we have one final scene. I figured before we went ahead and did the final scene, which is for everybody. Yeah, questions?
Just one more of an observation, because to sit and read Shakespeare versus
To see it acted out.
to see it acted out, I understand it was meant to be acted out, but when you sit there reading it, I don't think I could ever quite capture what I just saw.
It's a world of difference to have the ability to see the actions that are happening in Shakespeare's lines rather than trying to have to imagine an entire stage of players all at once. Which is why I love that we have the opportunity to come here and say these words out loud for you guys and for you to be able to see what they mean and what they mean for the people that are saying them. So, one final scene. As we were saying, we're going to give you guys a send-off scene from A Midsummer's Night Dream. It is a play that is about a lot of things, about fairies and magic and people who think they're much more talented than they actually are, but then they're not, and then lovers who have mistaken identities and true love wins in the end. And at the end of the play here, we are celebrating the marriage of our lovely king, Theseus, who is going to be giving us a small send-off, and then the fairies are going to come in. There is one thing we have not touched on with Shakespeare, because it can be a little daunting. Shakespeare did write in what's called prose, which is what we've mostly been doing up till this point. He did also write in verse, where he would write in poetry. And often Shakespeare would use that transition from prose to poetry to indicate a shift as well on stage. In this situation, a shift from the mundane to the more magical. So I will leave us here with our King Theseus, and then the fairies shall come. I'll be here for you to talk to. No, you can talk to them. I'll be here.
So I'm talking to the players first?
Yes, you're talking to the players first.
Okay. Pretend like you're the players. No epilogue, I pray you. For your play needs no excuse, never excuse. For when the players are all dead, there needs none to be blamed. But come, your Bergamask, let your epilogue alone.
Okay.
The iron tongue of midnight hath told 12. Lovers to bed. 'Tis almost fairy time. I fear we shall outsleep the coming morn as much as we this night have overwatched. This palpable gross play hath well beguiled the heavy gate of night. Sweet friends, to bed. A fortnight hold we this solemnity in nightly revels and new jollity.
Now the hungry lion roars, and the wolf behowls the moon, whilst the heavy ploughman snores, all with weary task fordone. Now the wasted brands do glow, whilst the screech owl, screeching loud, puts the wretch that lies in woe in remembrance of a shroud. Now it is the time of night, that the graves all gaping wide, every one lets forth his sprite, in the churchway paths to glide. And we fairies, that do run by the triple Hecate's team, from the presence of the sun, following darkness like a dream, now our frolic, not a mouse shall disturb this hallowed house. I am sent with broom before, to sweep the dust behind the door.
Through the house give gathering light, by the dead and drowsy fire. Every elf and fairy sprite hop as light as bird from briar. And this ditty, after me, sing and dance it trippingly.
First rehearse your song by rote, to each word a warbling note. Hand in hand with fairy grace, we will sing and bless this place.
Now until the break of day, through this house each fairy stray. To the best bride bed will we, which by us shall blessed be. And the issue there create shall ever be fortunate. So shall all the couples three ever true and loving be, and the blots of nature's hand shall not in their issue stand. Never mole, hair, lip, nor scar, nor mark prodigious such as are. Despise in nativity shall upon their children be. With this field do consecrate, every fairy take his gate, and each several chamber bless, through this palace with sweet peace, and the owner of it blessed. ever shall in safety rest. Triple bay, make no stay. Meet me all by break of day.
If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here, while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme, no more yielding, but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. And as I am an honest puck, if we have unearned luck now to scape the serpent tongue, we will make amends ere long, else the puck a liar call. So, good night unto you all. Give me your hands if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends.
And that is the end of our program for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We have time for questions as well. So are we doing questions online as well, or are we just doing the questions in the room? Okay, great. Okay. Questions? Yeah.
I was told that in Shakespeare's time, there were so many plays and the actors didn't have time to rehearse, so they actually held on to their lines.
Yeah, in some cases that is true. This is more history than Shakespeare, but I know a little bit of it. Like, there were definitely times where someone would be unexpectedly not able to perform their part, and because they were interchanging people in and out so often, it wouldn't be uncommon to see someone with changed lines, adaptations that they would then have on stage. So yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Well, first of all, did they applaud like this, like we do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, they did. I mean,
Well, and that's
because some cultures do this.
yeah, yes. I know that in the ASL culture they'll do this as well. But yeah, no, actually, I sort of joked about it earlier, but in Shakespeare's time, the audience was raucous. We've sort of set it up here in this situation where you can't see it online, unfortunately, but we have our audience in a little bit of a round. And in Shakespeare's time, the stage was actually not what we would call a flat proscenium stage where you pretend there's a fourth wall. There was never any pretending that there wasn't people here watching. So just as much as the audience would talk to the players would talk to the audience would talk back. If I said, for example, hey, should I go kill the king? The audience might yell back, no! And I would then have to then justify it through my choices and say, but then I would get to be king, you know? So I think I've unfortunately kind of strayed from your original question, but no, the audience would absolutely applaud like we would applaud today, and they would do a lot more than that too. You know, have dinner, a couple beers, get rowdy in the pit. So
just alluded to what this lady said about changing words in Shakespeare. What I have committed to memory, you know, the thing about when he's Don Senior is talking about going out into the woods, and you will find books, he's running books, sermons and stones, and Shakespeare says, and good in everything.
yes.
And when I read it, I said, I can't find good in everything, but I can find meaning in everything. So for my own memory, I've changed it to meaning in everything, because I don't think you can find good in everything, especially. So how do you think, I guess there's various interpretations of what you could do to change some of Shakespeare's words?
It's funny you asked me that, because if you would have asked me that question maybe 20 years ago, I was very much a Shakespeare purist. What was written is what is, you know, should be there, which is when we talk about this age of like adaptations for Shakespeare, when you have things like, you know, Romeo and Juliet, or as Katie pointed out to me earlier, a Disney original movie called Motocrossed, which is actually, is what measure, not measure for measure, it's As You Like It.
No, it's
Not to do.
It's
She
not what you
pretends to
do.
be-
It's one of the ones where they have the mistaken identity. It's the with the
Much to do. Oh,
it's home with the Dromios. Yeah, with the twins. Not Twelfth Night.
Oh, I just.
As You Like It.
As
That's
You
it.
Like It.
Yeah,
Got
it is As You Like It, where they are riding ATVs and motorbikes. 12th Night. Okay, no, you were right the first time. I'm sorry.
It was so.
But I think that especially as I'm getting older, like the most important thing with Shakespeare's stories is to convey that meaning that you want to be able to say to them out to the audience. And so if that requires a change in some of Shakespeare's language, then that's what it is. You know, we all have adaptations and we all have things that we want to do to make them more relatable to a modern audience. Do I think that we should be cliff noting an entire Shakespeare play? Probably not, because as we kind of hopefully demonstrated here, we shouldn't have to change the language too much to make it sensible for a modern audience. But it doesn't mean that you can't make changes here and there. Yeah.
With that in mind, you being a former purist, as you said.
Yeah.
What's your favorite adaptation? Like, what is something that you're like, it might not be the words, but it captures the spirit perfectly.
The spirit of like the play?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I would say, like, I loved 10 Things I Hate About You because it is a great just feeling of the play.
It really is. I heard excitement
Want me to
over
stall?
here.
I'll stall
Yeah,
while you
stall for a
think.
second
Okay.
while I think about
So
it.
while Nick thinks, my favorite adaptation of Shakespeare is an adaptation of Macbeth called Sleep No More, which was a piece of live theater that took place in a converted warehouse. It was a free roaming piece of theater where you could follow the different characters throughout the entire set, which was 5 entire floors. It was told primarily through dance, not through word. But the way that the performers were able to still emote and just give you the same feeling that you would have as hearing the words spoken will just stay with me forever.
If you haven't read any of the adaptations, it was called the Brodart Shakespeare series. It was a series of books where they brought in, like Margaret Atwood did one, Ann Tyler did one, but they were adaptations, and some of them took the modern, like the Ann Tyler one is Taming of the Shrew. It's called Vinegar Girl, and it's updated to very modern times. But then you have other ones that were, the Othello version was told a little more like traditional and close to the original, but keeping it more culturally accurate than Shakespeare did. But I know if you ask upstairs at the desk, I've made multiple book lists. We have little bookmarks of like different book lists, and I've made multiple ones that have those on it. So I should have brought those down. But yeah, if you ever just search like Brodart Shakespeare series, there's about 6 or 7 of them, and they are all very good.
To answer your question, I have a more acceptable answer, and then I have a very unacceptable answer. The more acceptable answer, there is a Tom Stoppard play called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead.
Great.
Yeah, phenomenal play. And people would argue it's very much its own work and maybe less of an adaptation. But I think at the heart of that play is the kind of absurdity and like cross communication that leads to the tragedy of everything, of these two guys who end up being dead for just because of like literally because someone missed a letter. So like I think that's a great adaptation. But the one that I saw on that list, I can't believe I didn't think about it because it's almost like a cheat. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this, but there is a show called The Complete Works of William Shakespeare Abridged. I see you already nodding. It was
The Reduced Shakespeare Company.
Yes, the Reduced Shakespeare Company. It was one of the very first shows I ever did. I did it in high school. It is literally all 37 once you include all the sonnets. But you do every bit of Shakespeare's canon in 90 minutes or less, or your money back.
Like 3 guys.
3 dudes.
3 guys, they wrap Othello.
Yes. Yeah, they do. All the histories become a football game. You get to the end and they perform Hamlet backwards. What more could you possibly ask for? And I think, yeah, and I think that is a valid answer because that really was kind of like the madcap, like foolery that like Shakespeare's plays originally were. They intended people to like get up and be crazy and like be in the middle of them. And this really was kind of taking some of the importance off of it and putting the fun back in the words. So
I know just recently Point Park put on the play in which what was the woman who committed suicide into the river?
You're thinking Hamlet.
Where so the play goes into what happens to her when she goes down into the river.
Yeah.
And so for instance, all the characters come back into, and I'm watching this and say, oh, I wish we had talked back afterward because you have to really know what's going on. But so it goes into what happens to her in the river, and now she meets these characters and goes into some of the. It's really amazing. We just put on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and it's a really great. It's a great piece of work because if you look at that in the actual text of Hamlet, it's maybe like a 12 to 14 line monologue that the queen has that says basically she was playing by the river, she climbed a tree, the branch broke, she floated for a while, her clothes got filled with water, she drowned. We thought about doing it. And a piece of that is so, it's the end of Ophelia's journey, but it is such a emotional and like packed journey up until that point that it made an entire other piece of art. It's incredible. We talked about doing both Gertrude's monologue, but also Ophelia's madness scene, which is another great example of using verse as well as prose, where she kind of snaps in and out of like this disassociative state into being a little more cognizant of the things around her. It's just a very moving piece of theater. So yeah.
Did Shakespeare direct his plays, or was he too busy writing?
See, that's an answer I should know, but I don't think I do. I'm pretty sure Shakespeare did direct his plays. Yes?
Not
No.
all of them. Yeah, usually he was just writing and acted in some of them.
Yeah, he acted in some of them because he was specifically known as an actor. I know he directed some of them, but he was also constantly being commissioned by the royal court.
Yeah.
And so with him having this thing to continue to produce material.
So that's like a whole other rabbit hole you could fall down of who was Shakespeare? Was he actually the person writing these things? I love it. But that is one of the issues, is that there are a lot of scholars who believe that Shakespeare didn't actually write all of them because so many of them were done in theaters while he was
In other places.
writing for the court, doing other things. But then you also have records showing that he was upset with the way some of his plays were then portrayed. It's so long ago, you can only go by certain written records, and there's very little. So it's that fun question of digging into it, but then how much of it is really based on facts, how much of it can you really believe, because we have just these written records, which are the plays which have his name on it. So
yeah, it's a wonderful conspiracy theory hole to go down if you like. For my money, I think Shakespeare wrote what Shakespeare wrote, and I like to think that because if for no other reason to prove that the common person could do something and it didn't have to be the aristocracy. So I know we're supposed to be done at 7, right?
Yes.
So if there's any final questions or anything before one good one at the end, if not, that's okay too.
yeah, we'll be here.
All right. Well, thank you guys all so much for attending. It's not Shakespeare without an audience. So I'm glad you guys are here. So thanks, everybody.